Talking while you did. Who boy you do talking while you do? What's that on you need to talking while you did? Go talking. Can you open tell you we follow? Yeah, you do a phone tell you we follow. Go down to talking while you did. Talking, I do talking. Don't let what I do talking while you did. When we do talking while you do. What we are about to do talking while you did. Go down to talking. Yeah, you do talking. Go to Prophet Rufus. Okay, yo. Say, how you go? Total Gio. Bozala, Total Gio. Get you an eye, Total Gio. One day, Yaka, Total Gio. Bozala, Total Gio. Why you, yeah, I okay. Total Gio. Why you, yeah, okay. Wabri a jaya Total Gio. Why you, yeah, okay. Total Gio. Okay. Wabade, yeah, Total Gio. Why you, do? Whenever you know for it, Total Gio. Why you, do? No, but we are doing Total Gio. Why you, do? Mona, you clever Total Gio. Why you, do? Can you? One way. Can you? Yamona, oh, you are you. Money get you now. Material. Hosanna, Total Gio. Talking. Mira, yeah, talking. Your swamp. Talking. Front of you. Yeah, country where I Total Gio and your swamp. Don't you know, say, baby. Who for your clever, say, baby. Don't you look at that, say, baby. Not what we are doing, don't say, baby. Everybody where I Total Gio. Who you get? Hello. Je suis ouais. Voilà oh. Yo yes yo yo là. Yo yo da point yo.
Okay.
Voilà oh. Ah Total Gio. Yo. Hosanna Total Gio. Yo. Ya yo da Total Gio. Who you do? Talking. I do talking. Talking. Front yo, are you do? Subao, are you do? Who go you? Subao, are you do? You need to look at Subao, are you do? Who like you? Subao, are you do? Music. I tell you. I know. You are. Come on, yes, why you? Yamu. I know never did you it.
Good evening, welcome in the house of LPR. I will take you to Grand Jidat, Madam Zidian Tapua. Good evening, welcome. I will say to our own man, Dolaket, welcome as well. Uncles Ellis Kuyage based in North Carolina, welcome Moses Droport, and the rest of the folks. Just hit the share button. We got to shine some light on these evilness in high places. Good evening, welcome. If you know a dance from the southeastern side, let's go this evening. So we have to incite some entertainment right here to right now. And here come Ella's in the house. Good evening.
Reverend Emmanuel K7, I say, oh, Reverend Bakrake, one day.
And so who's coming marching from inside Liberia? Sonita, good evening, good morning, welcome to the show. A lot is unfolding in and out.
Reverend Jackson Joel.
What a beautiful music fading away right here from the diaspora informative news outlet, the Fonso so right here this evening. Good evening, welcome to the show. This is how we're going to start the program here this evening, taking you to the southeastern side of Liberia. And so much, we have a lot to do in common here this evening. Welcome to the show. I'm Fonso and so right here this evening. And let's quickly, we're going to get this program going for the good. Wow, what a beautiful music song here this evening. Good evening, folks. I'm Afonso Zain, so of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR-TV. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you so much for sharing your time, your evening, your morning with us, regardless of your locations and wherever you are. A lot is unfolding inside and outside of Liberia, keeping track of major development news across the globe. I am your host and chief anchor of the LPR-TV live with the panelists. Let's get the ball rolling. Then shortly the panelists will be here. Good evening, good morning. Honor the sound of my voice. I am Afonso Zain of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR-TV. We want to welcome you to today's evening broadcast right here from the East Coast. Very wet evening here. The snow still that almost in March, and we're still having the snow. That's the beauty of the United States of America. Welcome. We said we wanted to come in the cold, and so we are here. We have to deal with it. But a lot is unfolding inside, outside, all eyes on the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The opposition is now shaming what appears to be a fragile electoral process in Nigeria. Would there be a lesson learned? The Election Commission, Lasana Deleta Brown, is in Nigeria as well. What is the distraction in our country? The overhurried press conference, not ready for prime time, the fallout, the conversation is ongoing. These and many more are going to be the talking point right here this evening. I am your host, your anchor and presenter, Alfonso Zienso. We say good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the show. Do us a favor, just hit the share button. It's not going to cost you anything. All you just want to be doing is to give a support to this network as we discuss issue. We are getting some interesting news. The authenticities of that news we yet to validate, but multiple sources are now telling LPR. We're going to be coming to that. What would that mean if it does happen, as it has been talked now? Very few in the inner cycle are aware. We have placed call, and it's a hair scratching. What would this be? I am Alfonso Zienso. We want to welcome all our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for sharing your evening with us right here. Let's take a quick commercial break, and I will be right back.
Welcome to Fiber Queen off of Woodland. Everyone that's looking for a nice African for wedding, whatever fiber you need, you can just come over here. You have all this nice stuff. If you need a Chevy, you guys can come over here for baby shower, for wedding. You guys are welcome. She have really nice stuff. You can see all over there, all those men over here. You don't have to go to the theater and then they're going to be telling you all kind of stories. You can just come here. They're already made. And for ladies, you can just look for whatever fiber you're looking for and match it for the men. And, your husband already have a shirt made. You can get stuff for your kids. You can get stuff for the whole family. We have African slippers and Ashobi hair ties all over. We have different kinds of lists and everything. So you guys are welcome, okay? It's really nice. It's Fiber Queen on 6695 off of Woodland. 6625 Woodland Avenue, okay? So you guys are welcome, 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 welcome. You have nice stuff here for ladies, for men, for kids, and for everybody.
So, out of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR-TV. Thank you for sharing your evening, your morning to your afternoon with us right here from the East Coast, New England, Beirut, Ocean State of Rhode Island. We do some boat riding right here. Well, let's come to the news. Outside of Liberia, all eyes on Nigeria, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, in what appears to be a consequential presidential and legislative election. The opposition now is having apprehensive about the process and continues to assure Nigerians of the process. The system being used, BIFA, is now letting them down. Courtesy of channel televisions in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So let's do a little bit, I see it. We like to keep news proportional right here on this network. It's not just all about Liberia. It's not just all about us. The Bible is biblical, right? When your neighbor is in trouble, keep eyes on your neighbor as well. The sanity, the peace in Nigeria means a lot. In Liberia, Nigerians, men to women, sacrifice their lives and they work in the peacekeeping process in Liberia. The panelists, the analysts, they are here. They will decide. We will give you the opportunity as well to make your side heard. That's what we do here. We make the news fair, balanced, proportional. Less entertainment is right here on this network. Interestingly, we just do not just tell you what you intend or what you want to hear. There are a lot at stake. The drama is just over the sea level. So there's no need to add other more drama to what is unfolding in Liberia and other parts of the world. So we try to stick to the point. This conversation may not suit your political taste, but in the interest of good professional work, we make the news fair, balanced. The analysts, the panelists, they are here. They have the political side, and of course, they will try to do everything possibly they can to defend their own alligators. And sooner or later, they come and tell us, knowing what we know now, I couldn't have done this. And this is why we also hold them responsible. And you, the listeners, the viewer, we also hold you responsible. Your comments, your tweets, and when you even call in, we give you the opportunity to have a dialogue, to tell us and to take us into your human and political mind. Let's get a conversation going. Joining us right now is Dr. George Toto, is our senior analyst, is based in Pittsburgh. Joining this conversation right here in my own Asian state, a writer. I don't know his side. He's still hinking, playing the game of political correctness. He tried to fall water fine line. Mr. Jones Otavia Malice is a senior contributor, analyst of the Liberia Public Radio. Folks, good evening. Welcome to the show. Let's have a conversation. A lot is ongoing. Let's see here if we manage to get some courtesy of channel televisions. Let's see what's happening.
In several instances, scenes were actually created. People got angry, protests started, right? And I can mention polling units in River State where this happened, right? All across. People were angry that, why wouldn't you upload the results here? But it's important because I've heard on the...
Why don't you upload the result? Yeah, that's our channel television based in Nigeria. Trust me, I can get a sleep. It is this network I'm monitoring 24 hours. I intend not to be distracted what is going on because consequentially, importantly, in a couple of months, we're going to be coming to this year. We are not having much conversations. Gentlemen, good evening and welcome. Dr. Toto Atavios, Mr. Jones, good evening, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening. Also, June, good evening. Yeah, good evening.
Let's be our brother's keeper here. Let's start here. And I know I've been saying in the chat group here, you are Liberian, Nigerian, in your own words. Folks, you listening, don't take me off my word here. But Dr. Toto, you are monitoring what is happening in Nigeria. What is the significance of that? Why are you monitoring so much of the news unfolding in Nigeria?
I mean, the reason why Nigeria, is a second country to me. I live in Nigeria. I went to school. I did my undergraduate in Nigeria. So Nigeria, I have more friends in Nigeria, family in Nigeria that I communicate on a regular basis. So I have been there when Nigeria went through some difficult days. During the day of Sonny Abacha, during the day of Abuja election days, when Nigeria was very tense and people to the brink of civil war, we were there and we saw this. So the election there also too, kind of a concern, not just for only the natural born Nigerian, but we someone that passed through Nigeria, during refugee days, and also the role that Nigeria played in our civil war also too, So it's something that very significant to everyone of us.
Yeah, one of my friends, he gives in the nickname say Majak Boom, that I can interpret here. But of course, we all know exactly the role of Nigeria, the federal. Nigeria led the maritime instabilizing Liberia, no questions about that. So whatever happening in Nigeria, we need to keep eyes on it. War leaders and a lot of group here, Jonathan Tudulake is a strong supporter of the opposition Alternative National Congress. It's a senior analyst of the Liberia Public Radio based in Sacramento, based in California. Well, let's see here. We're going to be bringing here, but let me come right here. Home state here, Ocean State. If it is from Ocean State, it got to be good. They say our state is small, but we got a lot of great and good people here right here. And now, of course, Atavios Mala Jones is no exception. Jones, are you monitoring what is happening in Nigeria?
Oh, yes. I've been monitoring the unfolding events in Nigeria. But I would just like to inform this platform that election comes with consequences. And for Africa, the consequences sometimes they can be very enormous. And I'm following the election in Nigeria because there are too many similarities when it comes to the very African elections. And some of these similarities are very indicative of cheating, foul play, intimidation, and so forth, so on. And just 8 hours ago, noise has already begun coming up from Nigeria that the ruling party, Bola Tinubu, is,
right.
yes, he's ahead 40%. When you have 90 million people who voted to register, that's call for alarm. In fact, the opposition, they're already up running on this issue. So far, yep. The PDP and the LP.
Let's just give you
yes.
Don't make it like a desire here this evening because
okay.
Let me go to
the
Liberal state here to where an insider from a legislative insider from inside Liberia, but he's here. He's a senior analyst here on the Liberia Public Radio, Mr. Jonathan Tayo Dolake. Jonathan, good evening. Welcome.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Sword, and good evening to my brother Toto and Mr. Mali.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Okay, let's welcome our friend here, William Kamara. Say he's joining us from Carway. In fact, as a matter of fact, Carway is where my daughter is. So, William, you are a good guy. You're going to get a handsome reward. Just do me a favor. Inbox me to your numbers. I'm going to give you something. I don't intend to call A here, but thank you so much. And this is why it's so significant when we come to this conversation here. We have to be very honest, fair, straightforward because someone in Liberia about this time awake, I think they believe it's after 1 o'clock to be listening. It means there's a lot. They want to know what is happening in and outside of the Beltway. Okay, Jonathan, let me just bring you in here. Nigeria is not a stranger. It's not strange to you as well. Are you monitoring in Nigeria? Because very shortly, in a couple of months, we're going to be having this sort of conversation here. Are we watching to see the lesson learned and potentially we can get our house in order, especially the National Election Commissions and all of the stakeholders?
Yeah, I think is it worth it. It worth it. Reports that have been coming through writers states clearly that that former Governor Tinubu leads the presidential election race with 30-some%, I think 38%, followed by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, People Democratic Party, and then Peter Ovid, who is the young people driven, have some 20-something%. So it is quite interesting. What is the sad thing for me is the saddest thing for me is that the process marked with early election violence and what have you is the saddest thing for me. And I hope that they can overcome it with time and again, and that the Elections Commission can convince everyone following about the free, fair, transparent, and credible process, so that people can have confidence in the process.
Yeah, but when you say the violence, that has been ongoing for the most part here, and I've been listening to some of the pundits and analysts on channel televisions. This seems to be in a less happening than previous elections in Nigeria. I think the commission, and I listened to them, they've been giving some sort of fair analysis. Commissioner Connor, the commission is in the middle of a road. They made it clear that those who are not assigned within the proximity of the electoral process, assigned officer or paramilitary, do not carry arms. That opened the room. At the same time, they try to be careful to walk a fine line, because there's a lot we should learn here from us as a nation to almost to the electoral process. They are also afraid not to have a lot of paramilitary or police deployed, so that the electoral ground cannot be seen as a militarized area to create intimidation from voters from going there. So it's kind of like a dicey situation. Don't you think so, Jonathan?
Yeah, yes, we all see it that way, But again, like I said, if the opposition has a claim, it is the electoral body that must convince the opposition of the process. Again, the electoral process is a very delicate process. Poll watchers at different polling stations are informed of the empty ballot. The seals are unbroken. They are recorded. When the ballots have been done with for the day, the seal that is placed on it after counting is recorded, by the poll watchers. So until the poll watcher prove beyond all reasonable doubt that indeed they are misgiving, egregious enough, to overturn the election of a particular constituent, we should still keep it as it is until all of the results are brought in. It brings us to the conversation of our upcoming presidential elections. That is why it is very key for us, for an individual or ruling party to cheat in a presidential or in an election. It means that the opposition may have given her, the reason why they should cheat, maybe because the lack of their presence, or they're not following closely all of the processes leading to the vote and its subsequent counting and the results thereof. But if your party is present all through, like we intend to do it for the 2023 elections, definitely the chances of stealing votes is challenging for any political party.
Okay, we are putting the horse before the race here. Let me bring in Dr. George Toto here. Dr. Toto, you listen to Jennington. And if I could lay my life on the line this evening here, I bet, and not even the single side opposition, perhaps was send people, representatives, they don't have to invite you, but to go observe the process to see how it happened. Your party, do you have anybody in Nigeria to monitor, to see it, to be a lesson learned process? Do your party have any representative?
I don't know whether LPP get a representation in Nigeria, but I think when I was following, when they were recognizing foreign dignitary observing the election in Liberia, when the Annex Commission in Nigeria, and they hear that the delegation from Liberia were recognized.
Yes. Yeah, Madam. I was happy. I was waiting to see if people can go there, then something must be going.
Yeah, so I was very happy, when they announced her name, the delegation from Liberia. So that's a subject for them to go and see, because the same biometrics I want to use for upcoming election. That's how they're using Nigeria. I hope this will be a learning process for them. We see a whole lot of allegations coming up now. We saw one of the more respected former president of Africa, Obasanjo. Obasanjo taking the election commission to task. That the result they are calling is different from what they have on hand.
That's a potential problem. He's a former president, very influential.
Yeah, very influential. Not only Africa, but around the whole world. For him to walk to the National Commission and tell them, say, this is what we have on here.
Okay. The conversation is about to get interesting. The man from the far right, Atlanta, Georgia, Amos George is here. Let's say here, the guy who can just pull it without even stuttering. They are the friends of Donald Trump. They're still looking for the number to put on the finish line. Amos George, good evening. Welcome. Okay. All right. Carry on, Dr. Toto.
Yeah, so all that you're happy about Nigeria, that was initially when people talking about Peter Obi for the Labour Party. The region that Obi, I was not too much move that Obi will make a breakthrough in the election in Nigeria. Reason that Nigeria is a very traditional society where you come with big diverse background. You have the East, you get the North, and you have the South, that have, and all those various places, they have in terms of geopolitics, right. Most especially the North, where when I saw Tinubu from Lagos State, when Bola leaving from going to the North to get his vice presidential candidate, and that's a huge area down there, to get somebody from there. And Obi have a charismatic, he's a good guy, the other job will follow him. But to break through the real traditional population of Nigeria, I think that was a difficult process for him. And we that the APC, is a incumbent party that coming in election. And we can see this thing over to beat an incumbent in African election is very hard. You have to really work hard.
What makes it hard? What makes it kind of taboo?
They have the resources. They have the resources, everything to get their way through, to reach out to the population.
If you don't have the funding, if you don't have money, don't participate in elections.
Yeah, so they have the money also too. They have the money, especially you talk about the north, and then the tribal effect also to the Yoruba, the Hausa, the Igbo
religions. I've been listening to their commentators' religions also.
Yeah, so
let me hold you right there. Let me bring Amos George into this fry. He's another news freak here. Amos George, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. So. How you doing?
Great. Are you monitoring what is happening in Nigeria? Very shortly, folks are going to pivot and come to homeland, but we need to have this sort of conversation as well because it's a learning process. So we'll see what happens and see what is happening. Elections is an ad hoc system. It's a temporary thing. And let's see the kind of money our commission is requesting for in Liberia. That is absurd. So let's see what happens. But let me just hear from you. What's your take on the process in Nigeria?
It's a shame.
It's a what?
Shame.
I told you. Here we go. How?
It's a shame. They had a last election 8 years ago that went introduced a biometric system. 8 years ago. Today, the commissioner got everything in terms of resources. They assure the public that this thing is set. As you cast a vote, it will be uploaded straight to the center. People cast a vote and they say, oh no, the machine is faulty. When you are told that people, the whole country, 2.90 million people, you are told that everything is set. The system will work as you vote, it upload straight to the center. Where there's no internet, they will upload it, then they go to where they get internet and send it. So they told Nigerians, it's like the day of the election, you will know who win. But when the process started, then they said the machine went down and they said, hey, there's a technical glitch. A country like Nigeria, where the election community, they're not talking about resources, though. They're not saying, oh, we lack of resources. No, everything was provided. And the election commission, day before he had a press conference, everything was set. These are not just pockets incidents. You saw people throwing ballot paper. And thank God for camera nowadays. Yeah. So there's a shame on Nigeria. But what worries me now is about Liberia.
Okay, and this is why we decided to have this conversation, because some craziness going on inside Liberia. We are completely putting that aside. I know someone's life is involved. Is that the first time? Is that the second time? Is that the third time? Absolutely not. Is it foreign to all? I would say no. We are rewarded bad guys in our country. We did not follow the step of Sierra Leone. People that committed mayhem, ran terror on our country. We give them authority. We give them, it becomes our power of Anthony. What do you think we expect? We raise our own alligator. And here we are today. Let me come to, I like to prevent crisis because I'm not a favor of managing crisis. And we Liberians, we are not good at managing crisis. So we got to do everything possible we can to avoid crisis because we are not good at managing crisis. Octavio, Mr. Mali, let me just bring you in here. We see what is happening in Liberia, in Nigeria now. The similar system is the NEC NEC is trying to bring that, is now holding. So what is the conversation needs to be held right now? I love the settings of the INEC committees where they have what they call coalition center. Everything seems to be low go. And that's the danger with technology. Nothing is guaranteed because this thing can give up anytime. Whether it was tested, that's a different thing. But here we are, even though they have a well-organized setup, all of their states, where local people will preside and just send them to the command center, and they begin to give real-time, like I was showing you. I'm watching it in the backstage here, and give that. That also brings to the point, election is a temporary thing. It's an ad hoc. You can be a commissioner and say you run the elections in Grand Jida in my town. It's not possible. Again, you can't trust the local leaders there because of this partisan issue here, because they know the people, they will be able to drive voters. Does this political party have if they don't have the resources, that are business. First of all, if you don't get money, don't partake in election. Octavius, will we have a learned lesson from what is going on in Nigeria to be able to catch it way ahead of time to be able to put our house in order? Yeah, the lady calling for a ridiculous amount of money. And I think I agree with Samuel 12 on that one. She can't give justification why they want to do it. Back this, Samuel Dota, I can remember. GSA provided vehicles, government, executive mansion bosses, other places were used. You want to buy a car? What happens after the election? Who are you going to give these cars to? It's crazy.
Yeah, I think I want to lean on the side of Dr. Toto. I think he just summarized this whole thing. You see, at times, the ruling party have got enormous power. But before delving into that, let me just answer your questions. The question is that the African election and the African leadership, they do not learn lesson. They repeat the same old garbage history. Because, as Dr. Toto said, whenever the ruling party put up a candidate, trust me, the mindset is that they will have to do everything because government is continuity. And when the next leader is leaving, the only difference that came in our scenario with Georgia coming into the middle is because Nigeria was a power broker for our time to be Georgia time. Other than that, you would have seen a different story in Liberia. So with the theory of continuity, this guy is going to do everything to make sure his candidate win. No two way about that. And with the issue of lesson, we do not learn lesson. We rather multiply the problems. What's happening in Nigeria now, election, as I said from the beginning, come with consequences. The issue of intimidation, election violence, there will always be issue of election. But the question is the magnitude of the intimidation, the magnitude of the violence. I think that's what we need to be talking about now. And as you said, moderator, we are running a political system with huge level of impunity. You see, all because we thwarted the TRC that should have been in place to minimize some of the state crime that is going on. And the issue of the biometric system, I just want to tell you that the biometric has got a downside. These are not law and gospel gadgets. They have their downside. When the World Bank came out with $62.7 million and set aside 25 African states that have the symbol of stability, they decided to introduce the biometric system. And this is system, in my own belief, is even above the understanding of the voters and even the various election commissioners in the various African country. I yield.
Okay. So, Jonathan, what should be the concentration on NEC, not only NEC, all principal players to begin to have some genuine conversation ahead of our consequential elections? This time, not only the presidency, the two branches of government, 73 seats, at stake. People running campaign, not campaign. He has now opened. People going here and there, doing their little bit Jehovah's Witness type here. Of course, chanting, rallying. That's another version of itself here. But are we having the conversations at a higher level? You have NEC Liberia is requesting for this sort of huge, ridiculous amount of money, knowing fully well, I'm not sure whether they're going to get it, who's going to give it. I can say it, the behaviors or the attitude of NEC chairperson, one can say it, she's already compromised. And when credibility comes into questioning, international community, people, donors, they become apprehensive in giving the real funding needed. Should we, both the citizenry, advocacy group, the lawmakers, national government, political parties, should they begin the conversation? I am not talking about this conversation of just bypassing, I blame you, you blame me, no. But how to address the problem, to find remedies to these potential problems that we are about to face. Are they having that conversation now?
I hope that they are having such a conversation right now, because they are all how you call it, measure used to curtail future problems. And we can say all we want to say about the TRC implementation, and the lack of the implementation of the TRC. The lack of implementation of the TRC, things that happened prior to the CDC government coming to power, and I'm just talking on the broad spectrum about the National Elections Commission, where she has some level of misjudgment. So things that happened prior to the CDC government coming into power, some of them there were missteps, some of them they were not well calculated for the best interest of our country. We all agree. But under the matter of the CDC-led government, we were assured, Liberians, 14 out of 15 countries were all assured that things would have been improved. Everything that happened in the past will remain in the past. And this is hope for change mantra that have been introduced. What we are now witnessing, like in the Nigerian situation, let it not come as a surprise to us. Like we have said countlessly, those incidents have occurred over a period of time that we are yet to have answer provided, whether be it through report or not. They are all reasons that gave people fear. Should we intend changing government, like many have said, changing an incumbent government, especially in Africa, that have only lasted for one term, is challenging, because in most instances, the government doesn't see her mistakes, her failed system, and then every time the people try to usher in another government through a democratic means, the governments tend to have a pushback, and sometimes end up in this kind of chaotic situation of electoral violence. And so it brings me to the question now, whether I think we will flip the coin, maybe in the not too distant future, but it brings me to the question about the most talked about case that we have on hand. And I think you will introduce it later. But
we're coming to that. We're coming to that.
Yeah, but what draw my attention when you talk about conflict in election is that when the mayor said that there is no shortcut to the leadership of our country, at a press conference, the Valley Telly was accused, and that the mayor was accused, Koji in person, and then the explanation went further to say there is no shortcut to the leadership of our country, as opposed to talking about the death of the innocent child. I just wanted to rest on that.
Dr. Toto?
Yeah, to address that question, what's the way forward for, let's say, for now? I think based upon what all we are seeing in Nigeria now, with the technology problem, the biometric system, I think we have for that to, would just be, or in the next few hours will be a new month, March, and looking at the gap really from March to October now. I think what they needs to do, if Saboteur or the government that want to fund this election, they want to have a credible election, I think NET should start doing some some training to start providing some good training to those that have been hired to carry on the day-to-day activity of the election in terms of the registration process that be coming up pretty soon. The other thing, let people be trained. If the government can spend a good bit of money on training, I think it will help to reduce some of the bad practices and things that we see in Nigeria, and also to provide some proper voting education. We have a biometric system that will be used pretty soon. Liberia will have people in the rural area, people that live in Total and Grand Judea County, people from Total and Bon County in the village that don't even know how to read and write. How they going to put in to let's say to put their vote into the biometric system. So proper training to be done. I remember during the last election, the debating election, I was in Liberia. I was one of the international observers, for that. And if you see some of the ballot boxes in our mess up, common thing when people go vote, I saw one of them. I didn't play the last. The other person want to go vote. Instead of them voting, the person take the person to draw or Java they don't hear on the ballot box.
Ignorance.
That was invalid vote right there.
Ignorance.
The player. So all kinds of things. I didn't play to laugh. See all those invalid vote. How people are designing, people draw. We are here. But it will be happy to buy everything. So this is where I have to come down to
Okay.
provide good training.
Talking about night. Male is laughing. Let me lay you his laughter. You want to share that fun with all. Amos Joyce.
Yeah.
The issue of this voter education, like what Dr. Toto is saying, I saw similar thing like that during the Taylor 2005 or 20 election with Helen Johnson Sirleaf, and it's just complete ignorance, and that what is still happening is yet to go away. Should we leave this voter education alone with National Election Commission? Would that serve us a good purpose?
No, like your political party, we can do more because we can try, but there are instruments supposed to be used, and these things supposed to be taken out there to show demonstration how people should go about using it when it's time about voting. So that is next responsibility. Other several groups can come in, but next has to take that lead role to bring out this instrument. Hey, this is the finger you use.
So I'm looking for the job, not to interrupt you. I want to be the president of the Republic of Liberia. Let me be Tiawonse Gongloy here this evening. I want to be president. Should I wait for NEC when I'm going around? Can I create that sort of awareness? The important, you want me, instead of like drawing somebody, you think maybe,
You can talk about it.
Right.
But you don't have the material to demonstrate that yet. You can in letting the people mind, but you don't have the material to show the people how it will go about. So NET is the one that's supposed to put this thing out. The exercise, and people will go out there to start educating the people. But I always say this thing here. Election is not rigged on the day of the election. It's not rigged on the day of the election.
Putting the guy here in the water little by little. You're suffocating.
Election is not rigged on the day of the election. I always say this thing. A far plan before. The same we see in Nigeria today, people voted. They took their votes and said, okay, we're going to upload it. And you see the uploading things start changing in our center. So these are things that people plan and calculate. And I continue to say, my fear is Liberia. We never use that system. Why we couldn't take a whole year to educate our people?
Okay, let me bring in Malik Jones here.
It is where we are today, and I continue to tell you. And all people say, oh, we don't want war. But I always say, if you don't want war, don't do that thing. I will encourage war. I will bring war.
Oh, Lord.
Because when people become disenfranchised, some people go out of the box or do anything. You see that every leader in Nigeria, they are talking about they are on the edge. Nigeria, the citizen, the senior citizen government officials, I think they are on the edge because they see the young people.
Before we take our commercial quick break to get a glass of water, let me bring in Malik Jones. Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
Here we are. Everybody have interest in it. Whether you are contestant, whether you are ordinary Liberians, we are about to make a consequential decision. 3 major elections going to be held.
You have the first branch of government, the two branches of government. So we're going to be giving people a power of antoning over our lives, going to be making some strong decisions. You have the executive, you have the lawmakers who don't have no offices back home, anywhere. They sit in Monrovia and making whatever decisions they're going to be running overnight now. Should we begin to have a conversation now? Political parties, their surrogate, their supporters, their attack dogs, should they begin a real conversation instead of being sentimental, being temperamental, and lack good judgment? Because everything when you do it in anger, you can't get to the bottom line. You need to start having the conversation. Let's stop this blame game. You know, let's look at the issue and let the society, let the world see that, hey, people are doing something to prevent sort of potential crisis. But if we do, you fire back, we're not going to get anywhere. Should we begin to have these conversations, point out those issues bit by one, step by step, so that we can create an open conversation that every Liberian would know? I thought by this time, I'm not in Monrovia, so I do not want to run a judgment. So we've been trying to get in touch with Mr. Flomo, the Public Affairs Director, for us to have these conversations. But those of you are watching in Monrovia, what a promo is running into all of the vernaculars, the importance of these elections, why they should vote. If you don't vote, it's to your disadvantage. Just imagine if you don't vote and people making decisions for you. Think about it. These are things we need to tell people for them to understand. It's the media industry. We in the media, are we doing enough to have this sort of honest conversation? If Mali does not vote, if I don't vote, if I begin to insult, if I'm not telling the people how to get change, why we should affect change, then we are not doing our country service. Go ahead quickly before we can have a conversation.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. I think when you talk about democratic institution getting engaged with the election process, these things are based on interests. But we have major players on the ground that are directly engaged with this process. And these are political parties. And the rest of the democratic institution, like our platform and other platform, we will be there to showcase and what we believe in, probably the do's and don'ts. But here is my question. Censor was just held, and I understand. I stand to be corrected. That there were a lot of inaccuracies associated with this census. For instance, I learned even the population of River Cess in 2008 was 71,509 citizens that live in that place, and I learned the census had registered 96,500. I stand to be corrected. But what I'm driving at here is this. Where are the political parties? Where are the major players? Are they engaging neck on some of the inaccuracies? Are they taking neck to tax? I even understand that the ruling party is doing everything to replace election magistrates in the Vera County with their own employee. And this is very critical to free and fair election. Very, very critical. What are the political party, the stakeholder, what are they doing? So my conclusion here is that it's like everybody have just compromised things, and it's like things are normal now. And the day of election, people expect good result. No. The most dangerous part about our election is that the incumbent is in the driver's seat. That's the most serious part about our election. You see? And he's determined at all costs to cross the bridge. And the opposition is also determined at all costs to prevent him from crossing the bridge. So it's like even the intimidation, it's even going at a higher pace it's going to go at a higher pace in our country. But the political parties, the stakeholder, I think they have compromised a whole lot of things. And it's not late yet for them to even take neck to tax on the censor issue, to take neck to tax on the election magistrate they're trying to replace in the Vera County. I yield.
what we can validate that to say that the government or anybody is trying to do that. Gentlemen, we are getting some developing news. Let's take a quick break and I will be right back.
Welcome to Uncle Musa Grocery, 6523 Woodland Avenue in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
I'm a customer of Uncle Musa. I came here to get some things from grocery. Their things are so nice. They never get expired. They are the best quality. They have the best price ever anyone can get. They have so many things like cream, like meat, a lot of kind of meat. We have so many kind, and it's the best grocery store I've ever seen here in Woodland. They are located at the 65th and Woodland. If you want, I really appreciate you guys to come over to come and patronize with us because they sell the best quality.
Uncle Musa's Groceries on Woodland Avenue, 6523 Woodland Avenue, Philadelphia, PA. Musa's store is composed of varieties of African
Good evening. I am Afonso Zeansot of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR-TV. By the way, if you have business, you can also advertise with us. What, gentlemen, here what we are hearing, the authenticity of this news, multiple sources are now telling LPR New England Bureau there seems to be a high call conversation regarding the Lord Mayor of the city of Monrovia, Major Jefferson Kojit. Big hands are now having a conversation inside with the government. Very few people. We place a phone call with some sources inside the government. They are now saying it's a hair scratching, considering probably we will wait to see what becomes next. Jefferson Koji seems to be another headache now with the president of the Republic of Liberia. Other international community are now raising the concern. The conversation is going on as a result of this, and then we're going to come down to the conversation. Let's listen.
The media.
Okay, I believe we are listening to other days. Let's have a conversation. Just let and we've been having this conversation, talking to folks. I remembered why the issue of the former Chief Justice, high profile person, the consistent allegations against the Los mayor when it comes to all of these things that is going on seems to get the attention now of Uncle Sam, and a lot of conversation is ongoing with respect to the continuous stay of the Lord Mayor of the city of Monrovia. Hearing what we are hearing, multiple sources has confirmed this extensive conversation is ongoing. If Uncle Sam and other international folks seeing what we're seeing happening now, continue to have this push with the government to remove or to have Koji step aside, seems to be like how the late Samuel Dodd, Grady Allison's, and other folks, we saw the moving away of Nathaniel McGee. What I hear for good, the porcupine, like Sister says, is being placed in the zoo. So any other thing done is done outside of the public domain. For our indications, Koji now is the face of the president and the CSEX. If the international community step up their gear with other precious group, so he said, according to front page, he's going to submit himself to investigations or to cooperate with the police. That seems not to be that enough with other people outside of the bed. If Uncle Sam and others continue to the oppressing that we are hearing, we yet to validate that. The government cannot even confirm that as well, but folks are also having this sort of conversation. If this happens, what is the implications? Let me start with George Toto. Dr. Toto, you think the persistent, if you talk to the other side that supported, they will say, well, there's just a reason they are targeting here. There's another way to disable maybe the establishment politically here. But that is ongoing on. What happens if Uncle Sam and other international community that we are hearing mounting, if they mount pressure on the government to have this guy removed, what does that mean for the electoral process? I doubt we don't know yet. Anything can happen. But for now to the elections, it's quite a little bit time here. What happens when someone kick the can down the road?
Yep. First of all, political, I don't think if Uncle Sam looking at all the information that is out there against this gentleman that been accused of committing the murder, and the evidence is so glaring, that Jefferson Koji have to come clean, and do what he need to do. But if all the international community of Uncle Sam try to step into the case here, I don't think it will have any significant effect on the electoral process.
Not necessarily the protest. I mean the ruling establishment.
Yeah, the ruling establishment. The ruling establishment have to find their way to see how best to take that message out of the people if they want to win the election. If they think Jefferson Koji is so more important to them than focusing on their election, then it's up to them. And by the way, said Liberian, I don't think Liberian people want to even see them to be re-elected. And the information out there is so glaring. This young man, first of all, he appeared for a press conference. If I all his main business, he had no legal person sitting there himself like a lawyer to even try to direct the process. And I don't know what he have any kind of legal person to represent him or to even talk on his behalf. He just appear in a press conference. He cannot even address himself. You see his body language, everything, kind of speak to what is going on. So there's a lot of things. And I listened to the police press conference today too again. And the police conference, the police cannot even give a good press conference. They can't even get a good report on what is going on. Like everybody just confused, when it comes to the one incident. So if the international community comes in, that would be so good because these are some of the things that were in the 80s during the Samuel Doe regime. When we saw some of the things coming, or Uncle start putting their foot in it. People try to resist it. We saw how the country started going down gradually, and it affected so many people today. Since 1990s, so people can even get back to where they were before. And we see the city in our society. If the ruling party in the Jefferson County is so important to them that they cannot take a strong stand against it to address some other issue, then I don't know how to ready or determine the IE.
Okay, Emma Joyce, let me come here. The other second school of thought and those who support the ruling establishment, they say, wait a minute, Mr. President, watch and see. Some of your strong supporters have been targeted simply to politically disarm you so that you'll be vulnerable to the oppositions and not be able to regain state power. That would be their talking point. That would be their argument. And it would be more concrete to make reference to Nathaniel McGee, who is the former Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, a very close ally, who more or less are going to be the face of the series. You know, it's glaring. There were facts that come all that link him to this here. But it would be, people would be in denial of that and say, no, this is not a case. Do you think if this comes to that point, what could probably be the decision of the president?
Well, hey, as I know this president, hey, people are people. So I do not expect him to take any dramatic decision. What happened to some? I mean, Nathaniel Marcus seaters, so any runtime moving about. So I don't expect any major decision.
Is it being targeted wrongly?
Well,
is anybody willing to come up with some of the facts, some of the things, that, and not just exceptions? Anybody willing to evidence, facts on those things?
Hold on there. When the thing happened, I said it last time. I said Councilor Liberia and Jefferson Kudi got a beef. I don't know where it came from. They have a beef. But I said, what Councilor Liberia announced or said, I said, I will approach it with an open mind. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying lie, but I can't take it through all the window. I'll have to look at it. And I said, I want Jefferson, the next day Jefferson will have a press conference. I listened to her press conference. Two things he said in that press conference, and I said that Jefferson will need to answer more questions. And if you have that tape, play it. The first question the guy asked him, do you know this guy? Do he work for this corporation? And if so, he carry arm. What do you have to say? Jefferson Kudi dropped the pen and sat down and said that was complicated. He cannot discuss who worked there or who doesn't work there. And the arm issue was the security matter. He cannot discuss security matter. But then in his complaint to the Justice Minister, what he said that the man worked there. So what was that difficult that day that he couldn't say to the public? And if I don't expect him to know all the officers in the city corporation, I will give him that. But did he call the director of police, the director of city corporation, and say, hey, do you know this agent? And if he work here, where is he? Bring him to my office because there's an allegation leveled against he and myself. Let me talk to him. He didn't do none of those things. He came and said he cannot discuss that issue. But in the next day, he go and send a letter. This man is mentioned in there. That's why I said Jefferson Kudi need to answer some question.
Okay.
I mean, people can, but let me just.
He's willing now. So let's ask Male Jones.
Yeah.
The problem is not just on it here. It's always like that. There's a reason people have consultant, they have advisor, they have other people, regardless of you being minister also. They always have some sort of maybe media advisor or consultant and all of that, because when you go before the microphone, it's almost you are ready for a prime time, especially when you are being accused of something of a grave concern. Your first output that will kind of like set a tone to the public out there, which of course the public judgment itself is a huge factor into our society. The press conference of Major Koji recently, following the accusations.
If you have that tape, you can play it.
I will play it.
Yeah.
I'm now one of those the soundbite or working out of what's his name, video. If you have it, don't keep it to your chest. Put it out there. Let we all see it. Don't tell me the president killed this one, and all of that. As far as I'm concerned, it's like an extra. There's nothing concrete until I see it. And they kept holding this information and throwing this thing out there. It's just not helping the process. But let's dive into the press, state press briefing there by Major Koji. Whether it was a help to his career as well. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see here.
Murder saga of a citizen of our country. And we have our backers. And I don't think if this is environment enough to gain the attention of the Justice Minister, to contact Foreign Minister, to contact that these individuals are within the bailiwick of the United States of America. And I speak directly to the ambassador, the American ambassador. People cannot be using the American soil and trying to foment chaos and trying to undermine peace and trying to engage in this incitement and empty speeches to engender chaos in our country, most especially as we go to elections.
You see what I'm talking about? Why it's good to have a media consultant? If you had a good media consultant, you don't want to go in here. There's something that is something, your character and every other thing is at stake here. Vadia is an ordinary librarian. I can come, you can come, and something is would that something you really want to go to respond and put in much enough time? Let me ask you, was he remorseful during that conference from start to finish? Or
So you don't have that way to ask you the question?
Papa will get the information, we'll dive into it.
You must start trouble here in the evening. Yeah, but I mean, people are watching here. But let me just ask you, if you watched that the conference from start to finish, was there something that you saw in terms of the way he addressed the media? It was not just only the media; he was speaking to the world. Other people were watching because you've been accused of doing something. Do you think he did himself good in that conference, Malice?
Well, depending on what spectacle you are using, if the CDC using that spectacle, they will tell you that he did spectacularly well. If a neutral person is using that spectacle, they see some inconsistency with his body language. But what I wanted to stress here is that from time and time again, if reading the tea leaf of the CDC, the lawmaker have been associated with the deplorable aspect of his party. Everything negative is always in that direction. So I've been wondering why. But besides that, what's happening?
Is he targeted wrongly? Is there any other reason besides something that we do not know for which is going on like that too as well?
Okay. But then, yeah, if we should come from that direction, then Jefferson Kochi has to be given a day in court. We cannot preempt the outcome of even his body language. Then he has to be given his day in court because this is not the first time we've seen such a scenario. It happened with the TD auditors. There were press conferences again, and we saw body language there, and everything just went cool.
Somebody got to take it to court. Who's willing to take that to court to produce evidence? Because when it goes to court, it's no circumstantial. The both prosecutor and defense counsel, they're going to argue on facts and not feelings, emotions. That's not going to factor in before a court or competent jurisdiction, and that's not what's going to happen. So if what's his name, Councilor Verdia, who say he has a high court evidence, is he willing to take this thing to court? Or is there anybody willing to testify to say, this is what we have? And based on what we have, we are convinced he has been the person behind all of these things that are happening. Is there anybody willing to take that bull by the horn?
But Jefferson going to court. Jefferson
all right.
In Liberia already.
Okay, fine. Then if that would be the case, then I would strongly want to support Jefferson Kochi going to court because his reputation is on the line. So he has to go to court.
Who is taking him to court? That's what I'm saying.
No, he has to go to court.
He's taking the man to court.
He taking the counselor to court.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the counselor have made numerous allegations that really have some serious consequences on her reputation. So he has to take the counselor to court.
Okay. Jonathan, is that a natural water or drink you have in there, or you just having fun here with us?
I don't see nobody can drink water like that. That's not natural water. Nobody can drink natural water like that.
That water, yeah, hot water, yeah, meant for the body.
What can
to be honest with you, I have not fed my belly for the cooler yet. I must be honest with you.
Let's get to the Liberian people conversation. In the interest of fairness, is anybody willing to, even though he said you're going to go, is anybody willing to produce high court evidence? We've been hearing this thing, it's been ongoing for a while. And I think it's unfair that when somebody feels they get a right document for which someone's supposed to be prosecuted and they are holding fire with those things, it's not doing the country good as well. Do you see that happening?
Thank you so very kindly. I think one of the statements that was made at the on the spoon talk with Councillor Verdier is that if Liberia was a safe environment, he would have walked in and lead the way to producing pieces of evidence that will lead to persecution. But I want to say that based on the different accounts provided to us, as we have been described as people in the bailiwick of the United States of America, because it was not just Councillor Verdier, they have really communicated through MICAT. They have written a letter to the PUL officially complaining about people having this kind of network on for Liberians to listen to. But I want to say there are probable costs associated for further investigation that will give reason to dive into the allegation leveled by Councillor Verdier. I want to firstly say that we from the opposition, we are not targeting any weird officials. It is only that mistakes, like many Liberians were discussing a small corner, that have given our urge to elevate the conversation for which they think the way to scapegoat the situation is to say we hate them and we are targeting special individuals. But let me say clearly, Mayor Koji in his press conference tried by every means to not have any close association with Mr. Valley, to the extent to which he pretended that he didn't even know Valley that much. In Mr. Koji's statement, his letter and communication to the Justice Minister, he said Valley is currently a lecturer at the Mujad Tahali Mosque, a Muslim school in Boaville of over 200 students. It's a motive. It's a motive. He's trying to give the guy a different impression. So that was the first introduction I gave. He's an imam. His second introduction, which was in passing, which was negligible in his thinking, was that he in the employ of the city government of Monrovia. But he laid more emphasis that the man is also a peaceful citizen. Now, if we go further to listen to Sheikh Ibrahim Sakor narration, that Valley expected to that he and Sheikh fought, demonstrate further that Valley is not giving the rightful information, because Sheikh has said that he never fought. Wozi and all of those who were in Lufa at the time have demonstrated, given the history of Valley. Why are we concerned? Councillor Gloria Mususka said in a statement, this clearly suggests in a rebuttal to the national police that out of that is the first line of security for civilian citizens, made an insinuation that Councillor Gloria Mususka condemned and further strengthened her argument in her communication. This clearly suggests to us that the police knew the fact. In essence, she's saying that it was a government orchestration because you got a fight with you. Even before the investigation was conducted, that means even before the issue happened. So what I'm saying in essence here is that given the RG appearance to the Liberian Senate, that he does not know, I came from Liberia 2022 April, know that the Montreal State Police have been carrying arms. So if the RG is saying that he doesn't know, it brings us to the Nigeria election. It brings us to the Nigeria election. So what Pajo said about election rigging, it is not on the day. This intimidation started before. Like I said on your platform before, those who the president gave executive clemency to, more than 100 plus people from the central prison, they have been absorbed. They have been absorbed into the DA and the Montreal City Police. So people should
hold on 1 second. Let's go to this caller here. Caller 612-275-6168. Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm calling from Minnesota.
Okay, Terry. Good evening. Welcome.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Sawyer.
So let's hear from you. We've been talking a lot here. Where is your attention drawn?
Yeah, it's just on the whole saga. You were right when you said that there have been no piece of evidence. So all these things we're talking, they are rumors. All right. In as much as I don't like the job we are government, but these guys, Councilor Verdier, have done this public a very bad service by not providing one evidence on the issue he presented. All right. You given you or everything is alleged. And he brings these allegations in a political season, and he made a statement that he don't like we are. So it's more personal. All right. He's giving, and he's a lawyer. All right. So if you do have these evidences, let it be provided. Let it be provided in any way. We got oppositions on the ground. They can fight it. One of the things we need to understand is that police cannot do an investigation without a crime committed. A crime has to be committed before police do investigation. The only thing here is that Jefferson Coach, with all the evil they've been doing in the country, they're not smart. They're very dull. Why you have to go talk? They have proven to the public by bringing the voluntary man and even he, the Jefferson Coach, that something is wrong. But with all of that skepticism that we have, there is no proof. There is nowhere that you can leave police to go start investigation. Police can jump and say, oh, yeah, because Councilor Verdier said Vanny Teller was involved. So that means we got to call Vanny Teller to start investigating. On what basis you calling Vanny Teller? What is the link? How can you investigate somebody without any link? Then Gloria Scott refused to discuss with the police. She refused to get the police any information for them to start investigation. So even if the police is not trustworthy, what will we base our investigation on when you who have been victimized by the criminal cannot give any information to the police?
Okay.
Mr. So that who the quarter on there, now get information.
Okay. All right. Terry, you're not a stranger to this network yet. Call us, analysts, the hosts. We all should be held accountable of our own state. Dr. Toto.
Yeah. He said
you fire emotion. What is granting? What is sign coming from? So yeah, go ahead.
The quarter saying that Jet is out. Did not give the police any information. It was so Jet is out revelation that she had complained to the police on 2 different occasions that left at 8:30 that somebody want to murder her. So I don't know what information the court trying to provide on here that Justice did not give the police any information.
Mr. So let me just say something. He mentioned something.
You know, there's no way when you come here you must sharpen your.
Now listen, Mr. So he said that Verdier. Yes. Verdier said something. He said he got evidence. The Minister of Justice can liaise with Verdier and say, look, you have made some revelation. Help us with the investigation. Can you give us some information? It's also incumbent on the Minister of Justice to contact Councilor Verdier. And you don't have to be in Liberia. Hold on now. He don't have to be in Liberia. They can ask him. You have made some revelation. Based on the nature of this case, can you provide some information so we can go after these people? He can do like that. But to say, there's no information. I don't know what a terror listened to the Liberian Senate today. That the IG, Patrick Sue, that tomorrow 10 o'clock, Valley will be going to the police station. So there is information out there that the police can act on. Secondly, Gloria Scott, Patrick Sue said, since the incident, they have not spoken to her, to them. If they have not spoken to them, now one of my analysts, I know Mr. Kete is listening. Kete came on the show the last time that Gloria Scott told the police that the electrician were the one who did this act. I question Kete, is that what the police told you? He said in the report, and that's a report he put in the chat room. And that report was directly from the police, saying that it was a domestic worker. Gloria Scott came back and said, no, the police were insinuating. That means the police was seeing that somebody there, but it was not from her. They are not spoken. So that, Mr. Keder and Terry, those are the incidences that happen now. Were just happening and undermines the police credibility. in this case. The Minister of Justice can get in
All
touch
right.
with Vodia to
I'm not
assist
going to
them
be.
to solve this crime with further investigation.
Okay, thank
Those
you
are the
so
channels
much.
you use. You
Okay,
can't say,
30 seconds, so we will. 30 seconds, so I will go back. Is there anything you want to respond to?
Yeah, Mr. So you see, that is what that is what we're just saying here, right? We don't even have nothing to discuss on. We're just saying what radio said. All right, the police said Mrs. Scott have not spoken to them after. I'm not talking about, yes, she said that her life was threatened and somebody want to harm her. It is true, she made those allegations. But right now, after the death of her daughter, she has not given any description as to who were attacking them, to describe the image of the person. Nothing. There is nothing.
Okay, so quickly, hold on.
Yeah.
Why the police lie on her?
Guys, we're not going to put our collar in the lion's den. Let us have a conversation. It's one of our, I mean, like, that his view, that his side. We must respect it. Let's just have it. So quickly here. Now, the accused, hold on a second, Mr. Joy. The accused was showcased, right? Did you watch the interview or his press briefing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought
yeah, you watch it?
Yeah, I watch it. His physical morphology shows that there is a skepticism. There is something we can only assume, but there is no evidence, Mr. So that's what I'm saying.
No, I'm just asking. Okay, thank you so much.
I watch it.
All right,
yeah, but there is no evidence to hold the man.
You want to be that man from Bombing who was speaking at Harold Bogue about what he needs to said in snow. Snow. Thank you so much. Okay, let's welcome our senior analyst, Koto Jala Balayant, joining us from the Garden City of New Jersey. Good evening. What, you were in conversation with Omen Boycott, or why you came so late, or what?
Yeah.
You coming for second fundraiser for a
we don't know how much you raised that time. Koto will tell us.
But man, I'm bringing you into the other thing.
We raised about 22,000. You don't know that?
Is that for the foundation or for a party? Which one?
It's foundation. Waka Foundation.
Oh, okay. No, I just ask. I'm curious to know. Okay, good evening. Welcome, my dear sister. Good evening. Welcome to the show. I know you've been monitoring, but we'll give you a few minutes to settle down, and then we'll bring you into this Friday. Look, Marley Jones.
Yeah.
This whole thing here, he's going to the court, you're going to go to the police. We don't know the investigation. We don't know whatever statement, what are you going to be made public, what are you going to be on camera, what are you going to look like here? Look, if we were to take it into the public and we make you a presiding judge, will you find somebody guilty?
Well, I think
609 number caller 609. Just hold on, we'll come right back to you. Can you please lower your monitor, caller 609, because we're getting a feedback. Please lower it. After that, you can play it. Thank you so much. Okay, Mala, before I bring you in, let's give our good people a little bit chance here, and then probably you will add your point there. Okay, 609-1191. Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Pennsylvania, Bristol, to be specific.
Pennsylvania. What's your name? Do you care to tell us?
Yeah, this is so. Why we are talking here about Valley Taylor and Councilor Jerusalem put out this information. Valley Taylor, I was very sure have worked with the USAID on the project called LCRP, Environment. And I went there in 2003. We had what they call the conflict analysis workshop. But we wanted to know why the Mandingos and Loma cannot coexist. And to be specific, we had that workshop in Vonema. It's a lake time called Vonema, the river running, that is native from Vonema. And there's a lady that came up to tell us that this same guy, but that name, I guess because I left a document back in Liberia, that this bad guy captured them. She was married to a Loma guy and had 3 children. And the baby she showed us, I think between that child, either between 2 or 3. The eyes, I saw your eyes, a late baby to use the bayonet to cut his hollow throat. The child refused. They went to the next child just like that. And they had Valley under the other child soldier to cut that man through. And we're told, we are hosting the workshop, not to show any sign of crying or anything. But my bosses for the U.S. Marshal were the first people, a lady that was a moment to cry. I can remember one came on Sherry when we also was a customer here. This Valley guy was mentioned that after killing the most husband, they escorted that woman from that village as far as Morovia Junction. And she said to her, say, you want me to forgive Mandinka people? I'm not just calling Mandinka people, but this particular young man, his name to be involved in a lot of things. Because the general told us that he has evidence. And he was so blunt to call this guy name. Look at the body language from Valley. And look at the eyes. You will know that the pepper spray him. After 7 days, he brought him and look at the man, this funny up. What are the evidence are you looking for? You go grab the poor old man who doing a generator job. When you two so you were not in around it, the justice house and put them in jail. Now you release the old man and let the 3 children. The Valley said nitrogen and Jefferson said the whole Jefferson man is using this guy to do all what is dirty work. Jefferson press conference, you see his face, the continent. When the general actually let drop his pen quick, and he talked like deep breath. So what are we looking for? Now if we don't have evidence, but the numbers of killing in our country, my brother, no investment will take that risk to go to Liberia. The West Side will don't have forest.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let me come to home state here, Tavro Allen, 401 number here, 2887. Good evening, caller. What's your name?
Alfonso Sozina, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, this is Brother Melvin Howard of Rhode Island. How you doing to the panelists? How you guys doing?
Comrade Datu Howard. Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. So I was kind of monitoring the show and following the discussion, and I decided to call in as a Liberian to weigh in, because what is obtaining in our country, indirectly or directly, some of us, we are affected. I think you all on the panel know our story. We went through that same episode before. In 2020, when my late brother-in-law, our friend from Rhode Island, the late Emmanuel Batten Ninswa, he was murdered in cold blood. And up to today's date, we have not gotten closer to the case. So I do understand some callers when they call, they have not gone through what we went through. So they will just not say anything. But let me say this clear and loud to the Liberian people. We should not make fool out of ourselves. All right? This issue has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with people's life. Councillor Scott is left the country. She's someone else's mom, sister, aunt, and what have you. Just in the case of Mr. Ninswa. This government today, Mr. Ninswa, he was on the transitional team of this government. He worked and served in this government that saved thousands of dollars for this government at the RA. But guess what? He was murdered. So, guys, let's look at the facts. I don't know Valley Taylor. I know him if I don't care to know him. But look at the facts here. If you got your football team or soccer team and you lack professional from running war playing your team, you got a professional team. Look at our security sectors. They are all infested with former escort and so-called quote-unquote generals, killers, like Furidia, General Power, Sabato Dennis, Lokin Davis, Valley Taylor. You name them, go to the security sectors. So who you think will be carrying those mass murder and things? Who you think doing that? Guys, it's common sense. Very common sense. And we say today, I say to the VOA Jean Body, and I say to Liberian people, the dead Batten Ninswa was murdering and the very police we talk about today tried to film the story around, say he opened door, he was drunk, he fell when Justice Minister read it. That was a lie. Where's the investigation today? So guys, we should not say things because people want to defend the government against the government. It has nothing to do with defending the government. Our country has been infested with terrorists, I call them. Why get a position in the very security apparatus? What do you need General Ofori Dia to go do what? Sabato Dennis. Are they general? Are they veterans? Those are killers that kill our people. Then you take them and bring them in. Look at the city hall. Infested with a lot of killers. How you think because a brother was said where myself sitting, I got a lot of information. People talk and tell people. Labrador, Morris, a small town. All right? So guys, let's be fair to ourselves.
All right.
It's wrong. These guys need to stop. They know what's going on. What are the body language to the press conference? But the fact of the matter, once our government can incorporate bunch of criminals, war killers, they are not veterans. So I rest my case because when I talk about the issue, I get emotional. The late Niswa was murdered. And guess what? Let me say this to the public. Niswa, they hit Niswa to his head by 6 a.m. Liberian time. I was the first person to call in Rhode Island for the family. Monitor the activity, they took him to JFK. All right? Guess what? When the police came in, 6 a.m. Liberian time, the police came 2 p.m. at the crime scene. And lastly, we don't have a police. That's partisan police. I want Labrador 2019 before Niswa died. I was on a freeway going. You know, for me, I know even the Patrick Sedu, I know him very well. He disgraced himself. Very disappointed Patrick Sedu. He won't answer a question lying. Why lie? Because they're all federal Jefferson coaches. So I was in this car, the front plate, the front, there was no lesson plate, only the back of the lesson plate. The 2 police officers on motorbike. They ran behind the car in and they stopped the car. Guess what I saw? I had a picture, I had a photograph. Our police officer in CDC beret. So he said, "Your war." So what a man, no lesson plate. So I said, "No, if you only get up from the car, for party to do over Boston, get up from I said, get up from my car. So you don't have a police. Unlike the army, they are professional. They are a bunch of rebels. Those professional police officers do not give a chance. But they infested the police, the city hall, the DEA, the NSA with a lot of killers, the post security. Killers are killers for doing the war they call them veteran and general. I thank you very much.
Comrade Datu, thank you so much. And the reason you see me pause here is, you know, as a facilitator or angle, I do not intend to incite my emotions or feeling into this conversation, but sometimes something kicks in. The late Batin Nyenswa house is less than 2 minutes away from me. And I remember when he passed away, his son and my son went to the same school. And my son asked me a question based on what his friend, because in the same class, based what his friend told him. And I found it very difficult to ask. "Oh, Daddy, my friend Emery told me the government killed his father. Is that what you guys do?" And I got frozen because I have no answer for that question. And so sometimes when it comes to people, I mean, we are all human beings. You can be wolf blizzard. When you know somebody, I mean, you know them good. Whether we are still friends. You know, it's a very difficult thing. The Melvin himself and all of that. And that's just kind of hard. But here we are today. Jones, carry on, and then I'll bring in Koto.
Yes. First of all, I want to console Mr. Howard. You know, issue emanating from our society today is quite pathetic, you know. And sometimes it takes our emotion by surprise, and it's like we become virtually helpless people in our country. But when it comes to the legal ramification, I think if the case should go to court today, either by the police or whosoever, I think we'll be playing around a lot of circumstantial evidence. That's the first thing. And secondly, Jerome was not on the spot to gather the evidences. So he got the evidence through a third party. That also questioned the validity of some of the evidences. So the case now actually is very complicated. It's very, very difficult right now. Then the issue you just brought in, Mr. Moderator, about a stakeholder meeting to see how they can boot this guy out to the back door. You see, I don't think that's the solution. It happened with Italy top government officials when the Manisky came out. They just announces, we never saw the evidence and made a whole lot of analysis. They got on the loose and they are being celebrated for such a massive corruption around Liberia. That's also sad. I yield.
Let me go to New Jersey and get some hot pepper here, this cool weather here. Koto, let me bring you in here. You've been listening. I don't know what's going to be end of this, I think, stepdaughter or whatever child by former Chief Justice Gloria Moses Scott here. I don't know whether this is going to be the turning point because we have had a conversation over and over with all the cases, death, inconclusive, conclusive, depending who you talk to. When you talk to the other side, they say, well, decision was talking. When you talk to the other group, they say, well, nothing yet. Is there any time sooner you think we're going to come to an end to this thing here? Or do you think with this other case here, will we come to a comprehensive conclusion where everybody will say, yes, I think the truth is out there? Do you think so?
Thank you very much, Mr. Sword. I want to say thanks, to you all, my colleagues, panelists, and the people of Liberia. I want to say hi or morning wherever you are at this time. For me, it's a sad moment because Gloria Scott happened to be one of the ladies that I've had admiration for in Liberia, that I could stood for, that I could want, that I once had that admiration for and still have that admiration for. She and the Dr. Kanaka always like, to point at them when it comes to women of integrity in our country. It's a sad moment because I know I go with Justice Scott for a very long time. She happened to even love my daughter. She always asks for her. And seeing her daughter, murder in such a condition is a sad moment for me. And I just want to say in this public manner, I want to extend my sympathy to her because there have been no time that she would see me. I thought she would have forgotten me, being in a high position. But when she saw me once, she says, asked me, oh, what our baby, that brought me to the mind that she still have people, on mind. Having said that, we have and see people coming about saying, oh, there is no evidence, that there is no, this is clueless. Yes, it's clueless. There's no evidence. Okay, do we wait to see their body and say this is the evidence? We sit here. Why do you get evidence? Must somebody give you a hint on an event or something to say, oh, this is something that I have some, clue of? What do you do? How do you analyze the evidence? You want to pick up that call?
Oh, no, go ahead. I was telling them to hold on the hanger. So go ahead. Go ahead.
People come out, oh, there is no evidence. There is no evidence. How do you get an evidence? If I come out to tell you that I have little suspicion or I have this clue about something, don't you come to me and follow on what I have said to go to follow up the investigation? And there's a man that is saying, people say, okay, the man came out and put out a speed up lies. Okay, since he speed up lie, dig into the lie that the man is spitting out. Okay? I believe, I'm not saying what Councilor Vida is saying is true or is lie, but then let's dig into what he's saying. If it is lie, he will be exposed. If it is true, then we take the truth out of it. But you cannot just display it and say that he way here is a second station evidence. Okay, if it is second station, let's get to that second station and get to the bottom of this case. But we sit here every time we just conclude because it is not you. You just sit and say, oh, it is not true. Until it happens in your shoes, then you know how the pain is. I will not sit there and say that Verda is lying. I would rather dig into what Verda is saying. We saw that even the IG himself contradicted himself in so many ways. I listened to his interview today. He said he did not speak to the lady. And we listened here the other day when Carter came here. He said that, oh, in fact, the lady said that people, that the workers that were there, they didn't want to carry on the act. And we saw the put that press release out.
Caller, hold on one
I'm
second.
to say today that that press release was put on by a police spokesman. So when the police spokesman speaks, who is he speaking on behalf of?
LMP.
So many things behind this case.
Right. Let's hear from
Not one, statement attached to the case that we can just easily overlook. And looking at the trend, the man in question, they are saying that this man is a highly criminal. He had been having so many cases in the police custody. Because the first thing is when incident of such occur, what do they go to? You see here those that have been involved. Even though I'm not a police trained, but I have a security institution. I knew how those guys carry on an investigation. The first thing that happens if the man is in that community is notorious. The first thing is we firstly investigate our notorious before getting to other people that are of connection.
Okay, hold on. Let me hold you there, Koto. Let's get these few calls here. We are almost out of time, but let's make our people voices heard. Yeah, call. Hold on 1 second. 617 number. Let me bring in the number that came first. 763. Thank you so much for hanging in there. 7242. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Mr. So. This is Elvis calling from Minnesota.
Elvis, good evening. Let's hear from you.
Yes, and hello to your panelists tonight. I just want to make some quick points on the former Chief Justice case. You know, I want to say a lot of people are talking about the security in our country. You know, we act like we got personal police, police people manning our horses in America. Police mostly respond to crime. They don't prevent crimes. You don't call it unless you're trying to act like this is the Minority Report, where you know that movie where they can see people who will commit crime in the future and arrest them before they commit the crime. That's not how it works. So if a crime happens to anybody, whether it's the Chief Justice, whether it's the senator, whether it's a normal person, that person then will react by calling the police. We don't have security manning our house 24/7. So when people talk about the security in the country is bad. Well, tell me what's different in America? Police making stop armed robber from coming into your house. They can know before the armed robber coming in your house. Try to put this unattainable, a burden on the government that they should prevent crime before it even happens. That's not how it works.
Right.
And then to get to the case, my final comment quickly. Didn't this lady give her own statement? This well-learned lady who was, a Chief Justice, gave a completely different story that didn't even include this guy. She gave her complaint to the police that she had some work going on at her house. She had some workers there.
Yeah, please inform the caller. Inform the caller. So
Hold on 1 second, Jonathan. I think we had a conversation. Let's allow them. We're finishing. I mean, we're not going to have an investigation with them. So let them just have their say, and then we can add to it.
Anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, you will respond. But what I'm saying, when we interrupt them, we're not get. Anyway, yeah, go ahead quickly.
We read this story, and again, if I'm wrong, I stand to be corrected. We read this story, and from what I read from front page, the Chief Justice said that she had some work going on at her house, and people, was working in the yard and whatnot. We only heard about this Tyler guy from Jerome Verdier. We never heard it before that.
Say you never heard it before.
Yeah, so if it's something to the contrary, I want to hear it. But before then,
thank you so
she
much.
didn't call this guy's name. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, let me come to 617 number. I'm coming to you guys after this question. That's the last call. Then we're going to be wrapping up. 617 number 5162. Are you there, caller? What's your name and where you calling from?
I'm Gabe, and I'm calling from Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, the liberal state next to me. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, let's hear from you. Oh, another Massachusetts coming in? Yeah, let's hear from you. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I just want to know how this affects the political and economic state of the world right now.
Say it again?
I just want to know how this affects the political and economic state of the world right now.
In Liberia?
Yeah.
Well, now we have talked on so many things. Hit the nail on the head. Let's hear what you're exactly saying.
Oh, well, like I just wanted to like understand more deeply on like how like it affected it.
Okay, what it does, Mr. Wilkerson, look, what it does in every society, the paramount concern of everybody, the first thing is security. When you don't have a perfect security, you cannot have any growth in terms of development.
Sorry, you're breaking up.
Yeah, your number appears here 2 times. I think you call first, I put you on hold, and then you call, so it looked like that's echo coming in. Yeah, but go ahead quickly. Or you want him to get the answer, just to go and listen, and then he can, you can get, I believe you asked a question, correct? Oh, all right. Hello?
I don't know what I should continue because I was in
Yeah.
flight. And I didn't
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Thomas. I'm calling from North Carolina.
North Carolina. Let's hear from you quickly. Go ahead. We're running out of time.
Yeah, I think like one of the previous callers says, I think the issue with the former Chief Justice is just an addition to the list of all these killings that we have had. But for me, I think the bigger problem that Liberia is going to face is that where do we go from here? Because with all of these former generals that have been reactivated and put into the security sector, even if there's a government that comes after we are they easily going to be deactivated without putting up a resistance?
I know.
And the next thing is if a new government comes and even decide to prosecute these people, because don't forget the sanction and everything, they have not been investigated. Other former government officials, you try to investigate them. Will they use these people to be able to provide resistance? So I think we are just in a very difficult situation as a country with this government bringing all of these people close to power and close to arms and ammunition. So I think as we discuss this case, we need to look at where are we actually going to go beyond the point where we are now and the kind of trouble that we are in as a country. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's a consequential question right there, and that even goes to people that are if those who want to take stiff power, before I come back to you, Koto, and we're going to be wrapping up. What becomes of those people? They are already being embedded into the system. They are being incorporated. Even with movement, they're already used to this thing. And that's the crazier thing we did to ourselves in the country without knowing what could have been the potential consequences doing those things here. The Sierra Leoneans, they never rewarded any of these warlords and stuff like that. But on the other side, we put our hands up, Zion, hallelujah, and here we come. Zion didn't come down. Lucifer came on us, and we are in this mess here today, having had it. Go ahead quickly, Koto, before we make our rounds.
Yeah, okay. Like I was saying, she been a high, in the highest ranking office. I think it didn't require them to have not given her security, because if somebody came and reported that 2 times she was, attacked, there should be an alert. I heard one of our brothers there, they called us saying that who is in America here having security guiding them. I don't even want to compare, because if I'm leaving my house, my alarm is on. The last time my daughter made a mistake and just opened the door, the alarm blew. You know how many securities came around my house?
But I told you
fire service were here, police were here, and everybody just for the alarm. So you don't even want to go there to say how many security. I don't even have to be a security in my house. So you don't compare that. But if a lady came and lodged a complaint 2 times, there should be an alert for her, knowing her that she has served the highest position in Liberia. Why don't we respect our past officials? I mean, she should be then. If you did not want to respect the little man down there, she should have been given that high security to protect her and her family.
Okay.
Instead, this is not done for her. But I know that we are already called individuals outside of our country. And that with all here, because we are all called individuals outside and we're going to face trial. But I'm waiting to be called. I don't want to be called individuals from outside. I'm called Jara Balayan. So we want to face this thing because the people that are dying, we are not better than them. So we sit here, we're talking, and this is the reason why some of us come here to talk, to put stop, to these things. I'm protected, but those people are not protected. Now that's the case we have, and we already have the list of unsolved cases. Then we stay contributing to it.
Listen, that's the closing. Unresolved cold cases here. So, guys, we are about to go. We are about to leave. There were a lot of things we talk about here. So, in the interest of fairness, USA time and Liberia time in the closing argument. As we talk this, we also make recommendations. So, I'm going to be putting two things forward. We talk about the Nigeria, and let's apply in our own case election. You can put forward recommendations of what you think is supposed to happen, and this whole case here, how it should go ahead. With this one going to be the turning point? I don't know. I have no idea because a lot have happened, and there are a lot of conversation here. Jonathan seems to be getting some information here, so let me just bring him. Probably you want to share some G's with us. Jonathan. You can go on two fronts. You want to start with the elections quickly? Everything condensed all into 1 minute. USA time.
Yeah,
1 minute 30 seconds.
I can condense it 1 minute 30 seconds. But let me firstly read the findings of the police. Preliminary findings from Wednesday night incident, which occurred about 9:30 p.m. as narrated by Madam Scott, revealed that a man who was part of a crew she hired to carry out some construction work at her residence remained hidden inside at the end of the workday while his colleague had retired for the day. That was the Liberia National Police statement. Now, you have to listen to this carefully as I conclude. This lady came out to refute the statement of the Liberia National Police insinuation that was not her statement. Now, where the statement came from to appear in the police statement on behalf of Madam Scott will give us an inclination as to whether the murder, as it has been alleged, that government agents have been involved into the murder of many persons, how the police officer arrived at this conclusion. But let me say to my brother Elvis that the lady had not mentioned anything to the police, and the police lied on her. So assuming, apart from the previous, communication or briefing to the police prior to the last incident happening, the last incident she had not spoken to the police. The police have lied on her, as the court have requested of us. So where should we now think that this thing is a breading, like Elvis put it, that is been meant to be shifted on the government? How do we believe it? Finally, I say, all these things that have happened gave rise to why a government, an incumbent government in Africa, will want to remain in power, because if a new government takes over democratically, that government want to charge the former government of all of the missteps and some of the killings that are happening. This is how this thing leads to election violence. When the government knows that they can no longer take power, then they tend to put these thoughts out so that they can create havoc. We are saying today, as I close finally, that our country and the election process rests on President Weah. That election will be peaceful. We will be in that election. We will register in Liberia. We will campaign in Liberia. And we hope that the government will do our best. Because if the government intends to threaten the peace that we have, now that Ministry of Information is reading PEL, very soon, LPR might receive a communication, or other network might receive a communication, while Liberians in the U.S. bailiwick are making any comments about the issue in Liberia. We will be on ground. We will say this thing on the radio in Liberia. We'll say at the Intellectual Center, and we will change President Weah as being the only one-term president in this modern term. That we are committed to it.
That we are committed
Not
to.
the only person.
So, Dr. Toto, are you committed to it?
What's up?
What's your closing statement?
The closest statement, look, like some of the caller, they titled their opinion, but you cannot just sit in America, you try to compare security system in Liberia, there are families that are going through too much, like Melvin, when Melvin Koya, I must say I feel a little bit emotional because we're talking about somebody that I knew well, we hang on together. The very house that they say he fell from, he died. I hang on in our house, So these are somebody I know. So when people come on the call, they want to call, they want to defend who they want to defend. It's up to them, but you should think about the feeling of your family, especially just it's out. What she went through after going through some terror. She took some attempt on her life. She reported it to the police, and look at what happened. But this is also to the political institution like Bureau. They should be asking themselves some of the critical questions. We're going through the election that are coming up. What are the critical questions they are asking the election commission now? We talk about a censor report that is coming up, what they are coming officially, but we see the shape in the demographic of Liberia, according to the census report. Are those shape in the demographic worry the various political institution in terms of you talk about migration from one location to another location for the southeast? What causing the migration? Is this only factor to sustain to support the electoral process? If the election commission going to use the census report to carry on electoral changes? These are the critical questions that the political party needs to be asking right now to engage now on this issue. Because if nothing is done, if they keep quiet, fold their hand, or to work up and pass, then they should also hold themselves accountable that what due diligence that they did to hold them accountable to this process.
Okay, to this process. Marley Jones.
Yep.
We're gonna in the interim. I'm gonna make you the presiding overseer, to chief prosecutor to all of these cases. The core cases has been reported here. Let's hear from you.
Well, from my statistics, I think the death of
what is statistic coming from?
Well, I did some research.
Okay.
And this little girl that just died through this mysterious circumstance, she's the 25th person.
Wow.
And I want to hold the former President Helen Johnson Sirleaf administration as well as the CDC ruling party under His Excellency President Weah to be responsible for the politically motivated killing in Liberia. They have created a state of anarchy. And this state of anarchy is going to terrorize our election. The election, from my own prediction, is not going to be peaceful. There are so many variables right now. If time permits, I can tell you that our election will be characterized with even much bigger violence. And the reason being is that the incumbent is determined 100% to win the election by hook or by crook. Two, the opposition political actors have promised us, especially the front runners, that when they succeed, they are going to bring about law and order in this country, Liberia. My question now is, they are also surrounded by the mysterious killing, politically motivated killing. There is no police response, and the government is just lukewarm. What are they doing apart from press releases and condemnation? What are they doing to prove to an independent mind that when we come to power, we will be the law and order government?
Quickly,
yes.
Yeah, what are they doing? What do you want them to do?
Very good. As an independent person, I would like for the political parties to make use of these type of killing and go to court take the ruling party to tax, make a case. You may not win, but I will be sitting down somewhere and say, yes, when these guys come to power, I'm sure they're going to make the difference. But it's like everybody is just quiet. We just release, get press releases, condemn the people, and we fold our hands and we're all sitting down. So I doubt it whether we'll have law and order in the next government if George Weah doesn't win.
Thank you so much. And that's what I was looking for. And I saw your point. I don't know who told them people can sue government. Of course. Yeah, do you feel there's a violation? And you're quite correct. Take the lead. Koto Jalabalayan, will you sue the government?
Not this government.
Which government you will sue?
The real government.
What do you
The
mean by
real
that?
government I can
The
hold them
government,
to the
are you
country.
saying the government is a fake government?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's hear from you.
Okay. We see a man who is an IG for the country. He has been asked, and he talks about risks. I don't know how they call that, risk preventative or whatever it is. The terminology he used.
Risk assessment. Risk assessment.
Risk assessment.
Somebody already been murdered. You say the West
Can you imagine that you're telling me risk assessment? It's like I take a patient. Yeah, I'm taking care of my patient and I'm keeping the patient and the patient died. I tell the people I'm doing what I don't even know how to make that go. I don't even know what to say because what did you do? The first thing they will ask you, what intervention? That will be the first question I will be asked. What did you do before the patient became? So if they have gone there, why the presence of a police or even on the intervention of some of them men got wounded, why they were then you say, okay, risk assessment was successful, but you didn't do anything, the person dead. Then you can tell them a risk assessment. I have to analyze that. It didn't make sense to me. And what I saw was that the senators were actually begging the IG for security instead of demanding security. So this is why I'm saying that I cannot sue this kind of government. If the group of senators there like begging the man to give them security, because that's how I analyze it. If you listen to Senator Wilson, he's like, my man, I beg your man. I beg you. So you're begging the man for doing what they are doing? So I see it is so sad that this is the situation we have found ourselves in. You can't go take preventative measure and there's nothing done and the act occur. And you say you are doing some preventative. But again, what I'm left here with, I heard a statement from the Ministry of Information. You know, it brings me back to Fagon. When Fagon was there, he did the same thing to Costa. They closed his station down. And I seen the same trend to the information ministry. I just want to warn Ledger who them. Like he asked people from the past. And we you know, people saying it and we taking it for a joke. I tried someone who saw what led to the death of Doe today. Some of those same trends are beginning to appear. Then it brings my memory back to, are we going back to those days? Because what I'm seeing is the same pattern that is leading to. So, but I tell our people, the only thing we can do is to continue to talk and try to do everything to protect yourself. What I do to my family, I tell them, I beg you people, try to leave the streets as early as possible. If you go in, I beg you, you hear any sound, try to make the noise that you can make. At least if God help you, somebody will come and rescue you. But that's all we can tell our people. It's so sad.
Let's see what Amos Joy
about it.
Let's see what Amos Joy going to rescue here. They brave to subpoena. I think you subpoena the president.
And I wanted to just make something a little bit about the election. I'm sorry, you know, you.
30 seconds quickly.
30 seconds quickly. We talk about preventative measure. Right now, there is no prevention that is going on. We saw the result from the census. We see up to now registration. We don't even know how the registration is going to be handled. And those are trends that we're seeing, that if not handled carefully, we may not have a successful election. So if we follow this trend and make sure that they are successful for now, I see we will have better election. For what I have seen for the censor, and it follows for the registration, I don't want to preempt, but I'm sorry that we might lead to something that would not be good for our nation.
No, I don't hope for that. Amos George, quickly, send all home.
Yeah.
You are Atlanta, Georgia is noted of being the bravery. They always do other things here. Let's hear from you. Why somebody can sue the government and produce the card? Even it can be to ECOWAS or out there if they're, because some of these things they are basic human right violation. If there's a high court evidence, why somebody takes the bull by the horn?
Yeah. People can sue the government, but you go to ECOWAS, what ECOWAS do? I think there have been two major rulings from ECOWAS. The government of Liberia have failed to implement that. So the ECOWAS thing is just a good daddy go there and have the young girl to hang out with there and drink some champagne and things. That's what the ECOWAS is all about. They're not something serious. These guys just go there and carry these people, these young girls there and have the fun time and the deed. That's what the ECOWAS is about. The court has ruled two major decisions in Liberia. The government has not acted upon it. But let me come to something very serious. There's a young man who talk about America, this and that. America, you are allowed to have firearm in your house. Liberia is not that. Liberia is not like that. That's the difference. But I can tell people, if the way things going, if I go to Liberia, I'll go and buy my single barrel gun and put it in my house because I went to the village, people got single barrel gun there. So I'm going to buy my single barrel gun and put it with me. Yes. I'm going to buy my single barrel gun in Liberia and keep it in my house because people in the village they got single barrel gun. If they are allowed to carry single barrel gun, they say, "You register." I asked them, they say, "Oh, just register." I said, "Okay." So this time I will buy my single barrel gun and register it because my life is paramount to me and my family.
To do what way?
You'll be hunting Douala.
To do what way? Single barrel gun.
I'm not in my house. Single barrel gun people got it in the country. Let me say this. The police director, and I met this man, you're fine. I mean, I hate to say this thing there, but it's like you are tied in a system. I heard him. He had the minister out there one time, they said nobody is allowed to carry an arm. No exception. Yesterday, they said the police director said, "Hey, I got my arm, I'm a training guy, so I'm allowed to carry an arm." They asked him yesterday. He said, "No, we got an arm from the man. The man left us, but we got an arm from him last month or so." But Mr. Director, the moment that man turned his resignation, that he was doing the police force, he should have turned all government property within his possession. Why you were there all this time? Just a month ago to get an arm from him? That's a wrong policy. You cannot do so. Then the Minister of Justice said, "We see people in the street with arms." Minister of Justice, you are there to enforce the law. If the government said nobody should have arms on it, and you see men out there with arms, what is it you there to do? It's to call the people how they got these arms. So my question now to the Liberian government: who is supplying these people with these arms? Is it the Ministry of Defense? Is it the Liberian National Police? Is it NSA? Is it firearm? Who is supplying these people with arms in the street? Because if the government cannot tell the Liberian people, then of course I would say it's the government that's supplying these people with arms. They are in violations of the arm embargo. That's why I told you the ECOWAS thing is a bulldog thing. ECOWAS said there's an arm embargo on Liberia. And you got people who carry arms in the street. The arm that the police carry, the ERU people, those are American-made arms that they issue to the government of Liberia with serial number, everything, so they know about those guns. And they know there are people on certain assignments supposed to carry certain weapons because the nature of the job they're doing. But when you got everybody in the country alleging they're working for government with arms all around, then where is the safety of the people? How can I guarantee?
Let's leave it there.
Just leave it on this note. So my brother, you will say government this and that. I'm sorry. Liberia
Thank
people
you
are
so
not
much.
allowed to have arms in their homes. So the government
Okay.
is going to provide security for all these people. On the election, I'm saying election is not rigged on the day of the election. It's rigged 1 year before the election. This censor now, the opposition have to, if those numbers coming or if it is true, the opposition now have the right to go to court and say bring in the raw data from the feed so we can compare the numbers. But if
All
we
right.
don't do
Tomorrow
it,
evening we will ask
guys.
your. Tomorrow we're going to ask ANC Joseph Boyka, Liberty Party, what his name, and Tiawan Gonglo guy to
The
bring
Civil Society.
the civil society. I don't even know what I would get a civil society because
Okay.
they are not a bulldog without no teeth. Well, guys, ladies, Porto is better late than never. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time, for your company this evening. Eduardo, we are just close to phone line, that's why, but hopefully you can pick time. Guys, I want to thank you so much for your expertise, your conversation here this evening, as usual, giving back to the country. That will make it crystal new here. Everybody here we don't have the money. Everybody are volunteering. Anybody taking pay here? Not paying anybody here. They the one giving. They the ones even supporting this network to help our folks back here. So we are not, paying anybody here. Thank you so much. Have a pleasant evening.
Find a friend like me.
Let me move the paper here. You're full of trouble. Let me let him go. Okay, guys. Thank you so much to our many viewers, listeners, followers. This is Liberia Public Radio. Mr. Goyat, we wish you well. Hopefully, get better. I know he painted down the play. Yeah, the doctor told him to read the poem from away. So he said, I just watch it. Yeah, watch. We wish you a good and speedy recovery. To our many viewers, listeners, and we want to thank you so much. Your comments, your interactions, and those that call in here. We say thank you so much. This is what we represent. This is what Liberia Public Radio is all for. We do not sanction to views, voices here. As long civility is maintained on this network, you will always make your voice or voices heard. However, comments, tweet that is said on this network does not in any way to represent the management and staff of the Liberia Public Radio, but we do facilitate these hard-core conversations that necessarily does not pivot in your direction that which you do not even want to hear. But we'll try to give these conversations proportionally fair and balanced. Most of the guys, folks here, at their own volition, the parties that they support, they come here to share the party visions, and I hope as well. Our doors still open to the ruling establishment. Before, in the past, we had Professor Asese Labozawo, who is now the superintendent of the Monrovia Consolidated School System. We have done everything possible we can to reach out to the government, the CDC leadership, if they can designate someone here, to a bravery to come to have this conversation here. We have opened up, we have reached out to the chairperson, but the chairperson did appear once, but currently in Liberia. But if you are individual and you feel that the ruling establishment is being badged, being slammed, and maybe no one here is suspected until you want to volunteer, feel free, let us know. We'll also come here. But we do have a guy here. He gives himself a specific name, a pro-government supporter. So if you want to be part of this conversation, let us know, and we'll bring you here as well. If this is a first time just bumping into this podcast of LPR, we say thank you so much for sharing your evening to your morning and afternoon with us. Let this not be your last time, because perhaps you didn't hear what you anticipated of hearing. Tomorrow, you could hear. Tomorrow is not guaranteed, though. But there could be a better tomorrow. It's about our country. It is about your country. So discussing about a national, a sovereign nation becomes very critical and a turning point. And we respect the views and opinions, each one here. And this is what we don't sanction views and opinion here. The way you see it, I might not see it that way. So we'll try to give that courtesy to our viewers, our listeners, our followers, and callers, not to interrupt them, to allow them to speak their mind. However,
whatever said on this network, you can also be held accountable. We all do have shared responsibility to make Liberia what it ought to be. We brought this upon ourselves. We did not follow the steps of Sierra Leone. So is it a surprise to us? I would say it not personally, but you will see it differently. People that brought mayhem to our country, to our society, to our generation, an unborn generation for which we are having all we are having today. They were celebrated. They gave justifications of their actions, and still they are doing that. We give them high-profile political offices to the extent that they have become the powers of Anthony for us. And of course, those who led them in their positions, they have to bring them with them to also provide security for them. And so they shield them. They welcome them because potentially they could do their dirty work. Interestingly, the politics in Liberia has become so polarized, so divisive. If one buy apples leaves and join another buy apples, he or she is being celebrated and chanted hallelujah. But we only notice when that person is out of our way, then we put the merit to diagnose the person's past history. That is hypocrisy and that is deceit. It's not good for the country. To the extent that we can't, even if they are in our political columns, we are unable to call them out as who they are and what they represent. And so we become selective of their doings, of their good characters and bad characters. When they come our way, they are good. We intend not to hold them accountable. But when they go in the column of Mr. A, then we celebrate them. This is not a Liberia that we want to have. This is not a Liberia that we want to make. We are now sounding their warnings here at Liberia Public Radio alongside with the panelists and youth that agree with us. And we also understand that people would not agree with us. Are we having enough conversations right now about our country, the future of the country, in such a consequential election that is ahead, seeing what is unfolding in Nigeria? Is the system? Is there a way that we can have a conversation to make the election much better? Or are we willing to manage crisis when we are not noted or good at managing crisis? Prevention is better than cure. That is not happening. Are we creating the voter education, or are we waiting for election commission because it is the institution empowered to carry out some of these responsibilities? What becomes of us as citizens? What becomes of us, our future, if we all failed to do what is right? We all have a responsibility to make what it is. Elections is an ad hoc process. It's a temporary stuff. Right after the elections, that's it. Do they really need that money they are requesting for? Or is it a recipe to create some sort of drama or chaotic situation? I think a genuine conversation by all stakeholders, the citizenry, should begin to have it now instead of later. That happens, the courage, the conviction. If we can just put out a government of liberalization policies for the good of the country, that would be good. There are some that I would say having the true confections on some of the bad things when they were part of the system. They defended the system to the core belly. Yes, it's good to come out now to say it, but have they apologized of all of the wrong actions, wrong defense line they were putting out and defended the government or the oppositions of some of the wrong? Are they willing to testify? Are they willing to admit of wrong defense, knowing what they know now? This is why it's so crucial, it's so good, and so important that those even that we support must begin to ask them questions of substance, not of our sentiment, not of our emotions, but for the good of the country and for your unborn generation. Until that is done, we have a better Liberia. It is never too late to have these conversations. Both the government, the opposition, and those who want state power, they all must come clean and tell us exactly what they represent, what they hope to do, how they intend to do it. And we, as a facilitator of anchors of these programs, it is not our responsibility to incite our emotions, our personal feelings, but to have an open conversation about our country in order to give the electors and the citizenry a better understanding of the country and how they can make some consequential decisions. The media is not for the government, it's not for the government. It intercedes, serves as a conduit to educate, to inform. I am not responsible to tell you which way to vote, how to vote, but I will tell you the ups and downs, the good sides and the downsides of your decisions, and create that conversation to give you the awareness. And that's exactly what we will do and we will continue to do. We shouldn't be the one to influence the decisions of the people. We should create an open conversation thereby no one will be left behind. No voice will be sanctioned. All Liberians have the right to think, discuss about a country, not necessarily the way you want it. And so this is where the persuasion method comes in. If we are able to persuade people why their decisions is bad, instead of driving them away, we will do our country much good. Until then, I am Alfonso Ziensot of the Liberia Public Radio. On behalf of the analysts, the panelists, and you, our valuable listeners, followers, your comments, your tweets, we'll go back and read these things and it help us to make our arguments in having these national conversations. Join us tomorrow, Wednesday, the May week. All things considered will be coming right here on the Diaspora Informative News Outlet, Liberia Public Radio. Until then, have a blessed evening. Bye-bye.
The representative of the Secretary General of the United Nations.
That's the
Inspector General of Police.
That's
the representatives of the OIC.
Hold on 1 second. So that's the
National Commissioners, INEC.
Okay.
The convener,
Civil
Society Situation Room.
Let it go.
Go. Let it go. Lord, help me, let it go. 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 Lord, help me, let it go. Help me, let it go. Yeah, let it go. Yeah, let it go. Help me, let it go. Master Jesus, let it go. Yeah, help me, let it go. Go, 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 go. Go, let it go. I'm tired, let it go. Give your heart to Jesus. Let him take control. Just sit and worship. I know it hurts you, and I know it's painful. No way to wait, so you have to let it go. Your best friend is not your secret enemies. Let it go. Your wife is getting married to another man. Your husband are falling in love with another woman. Don't let it bother you. I've said let it go. If someone overlook you because you live in zero, if they insult you because you don't have nobody, if you say you will continue to be a zogo, if you say you will continue to be a prostitute, if you say you will continue to be a beggar, you will not marry, you will not bear your own children. If you say your knee is borrow, Sunday go to meeting, mommy can say no, Johnny Ginger. Just let it go. Jesus will change your story. Let it go. Let it go.
Don't only have a limited audience, limited to people who have data and have access to the internet, right? Now we're on radio, so we've expanded the pool of listeners, and because we in LPR are in the business of educating our people, what is political education or academic education or health education. Now we have access to a vast majority of the Liberian population that we can now interact with. And as far as the ambassador goes, I'm excited to hear what he has to say. I hope, and I know the brother he's very smart. So I hope he brings some substance today, like he always does, and not just give us bare bones. But I know Louis Brown. I know he's very articulate. He's a very smart man. So I'll be listening to hear what he has to say and what he has to proffer and how he all of those negative things that have been put out there about his selection. I'm hoping to hear from him and how he hopes to move Team Cummins forward and how they hope to move Liberia forward.
Government, it did not meet your core values?
I resign. Before I resign, I issue a 13-page press statement. It's on the internet. If you check, you'll find it. And then the president subsequently called me back into government because at that time, she had sent all the cabinet ministers home for 2 weeks compulsory leave. I was one of those that she called back. And I said, no, I'm not coming back into your government because what I believe you will do is not what you are doing. This country went into civil conflict and over 300,000 people were killed because of bad governance. And I see the same thing
happening,
being done by you. The same thing is happening.
That's why you told the president?
Yes, in a conversation with her. And I said, thank you, but I'm not coming back to the government. Anything good in Liberia. Louis Brown was National Security Advisor to Charles Taylor, man. That was the time I was tortured.
This seems to me ANC now.
Let them be redeeming themselves. They laid the foundation for the suffering that is happening today. No. It's not in good faith. Isn't it the same Louis Brown who said to President Salif, Kennedy president, that no one since 1847 has so desecrated the executive mansion equal to President Kennedy, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. It was not even a month after he was appointed to be Minister of Information for that same President Sirleaf. And he was propagating everything. When he was asked by the journalist, he said, when you are far from President Sirleaf, you see a bad woman. When you come close to her, you see a good person. That sounded very opportunistic to me.
For being here, and especially in these difficult times. I thank the Liberian people for their kind attention. All over this country, in every village and town, across every region and community, from mosques to churches, from markets to schools, from prisons to hospitals, across all political parties, ministries, agencies, and institutions of the government.
Do you want to share your events with the world? Why not contact us? We are Liberia Public Radio, LPR. We are the specialists in advertisements, commercials, radio and TV services. We have the professionals that can help you sell your products and provide live coverage of all events, such as weddings, conventions, graduations, reunions, anniversaries, sports, birthdays, baby showers, religious activities, funerals, and many more. Take your phone right now and call any of the following numbers: 682-433-8802, 267-648-6089, 484-786-3337, or 916-533-2048. Our customer service representatives are waiting to take your calls and give you the needed assistance. It is LPR, the home of excellent media services, and your friends in business. Hello, listeners. This is Mazola, the lover boy. I'd like to invite you to this exciting program. It is called Dancing for Jesus. It is intended to play beautiful, inspirational music to help you turn your life to God. Join me on every Sunday from 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is our way of showing appreciation to God for the good things He has done for us and continue to do. Don't miss this opportunity. Join Mazola Gizi on every Sunday from 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the program Dancing for Jesus. Please be there because I will be here to rock it up for you.